The Rumble Show that you are currently tuned into will begin in a minute. Until you enjoy this tune.
Good man had to die. Another piece of shit typical. He's heard of there and my heart is where my soul is torn. The good man had to die. Another piece of shit typical. His soul is pure when your pockets all dry. I raise his pain in the center of your eye.
You listen to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, presented by Realm of the Entertainment. Host, John Tom.
And hello, everyone, and welcome once again to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. We are coming to you from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tolley, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Christopher Stolley. Sorry I didn't have a funny, quippy little thing to save to you today, but, you know, crap happens.
Hey,
anyway, Chris, how are you today?
I am fine, and I will tell you what, in honor of the 20th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, if Yoda would have worn boxers instead of briefs, his midichlorian count would have been higher than Anakin's.
This is true. This is true. Also joining us today is, you can hear him not only right here at Realm of the Mist on Realm of the Mist podcast, you can also hear him on his own show, Star Wars Canon Podcast, which has recently been named one of the 25 best Star Wars podcasts on the interwebs. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Miller.
Do you guys smell toast? I smell toast.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. I took a shower today. No, I didn't. Whoa.
Might be
sorry.
having a stroke. So if you see one side of my face kind of melt during this podcast, don't think anything of it.
I'm just wondering how many midichlorians you swallowed to get on the top 25 list.
Oh, hey. I don't swallow any metachlorians, apparently.
Yeah.
I can prove at least once that I've had sex in my life.
There you go. Good way to start the show.
I know,
there we
right?
go.
You gotta love it.
Yeah. Well, this week we actually have some news to talk about. First of all is in a recent interview, Oscar Isaac pretty much confirmed what I think we all kind of knew, is that the Skywalker saga will come to a definite end at Episode 9. I mean, did this really surprise anybody? Is this like a big revelation that the Skywalker saga is coming to an end?
What I caught of the article isn't so much that it's going to end, which is not a surprise, that it's a permanent end. That I really always thought that there would be a back door for bringing back the Skywalkers if, like, they screw up with anything or whatever the case may be, that they, have a fail-safe, I guess you could kind of call it. Somewhere down the line, generations down the line, another Skywalker emerges or something. But from the way he put it, is it's not only the end of the Skywalker saga, it is the permanent end of the Skywalkers. Which kind of, in a sense, kind of tells you that, one, Rey's not a Skywalker, and two, kind of tells you that Ben's dying.
Ben's out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how first of all, how they do it, and what will the fans' reaction be?
I can tell you right now what the fans' reaction is going to be.
They're going to be pissed.
Take Last Jedi and multiply it exponentially.
Yeah.
That's going to be it. And they're going to be like, how can they do that? We didn't know this was going to... They've been announcing this is the last Skywalker film for how many years now?
Yeah.
That this was going to be this was it, right? So, like Chris said, that means Rey's not a Skywalker. Or if she is, she's going out with Kylo. They're both going out. Yeah. And that's and we know Leia's going to bite it. No, you know what I mean? Yeah. We already know that's going to happen in this film.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I didn't mean to actually say it that disrespectfully. I didn't mean it that callously. But Leia's a goner. Yeah. And if Rey's a Skywalker, she's a goner, and we know Ben's going to be a goner. So, you know why this is going to be the end of the episodic films with no Skywalkers? Because if it wasn't for the Skywalkers, there'd be nothing interesting happening in the galaxy right now. Think about the Skywalkers were so pivotal to the galaxy at the time. Whether it be Anakin or Anakin as Vader or Luke or, Ben, everybody had a major role to play in all those conflicts that were going on. And without the Skywalkers, would any of it have happened?
So the Ryan Johnson trilogy is going to be what, an intergalactic flea market?
That's why they're introducing new characters to us. Outside of what we already know. After Episode 9, if Ryan Johnson's trilogy is coming out, and I think we're pretty much agreed that Benioff and Weiss are going to have Old Republic. Yeah. I think that's pretty much... we're going to get introduced to a new set of characters in there where if it wasn't for them, this shit wouldn't happen, right? In Old Republic. But I think for different time periods and different eras and different locations in the galaxy, you don't necessarily have to have the overall galactic civil war or the Clone Wars or anything like that. Tell little stories. Yeah. You know what I mean? Tell stuff that happened during those conflicts. There were trillions of citizens out there in the galaxy while all this stuff's going on that I'd like to know their stories too.
Well, the thing with the Ryan Johnson thing is that we know it's not even supposed to take place in the Star Wars galaxy. The initial galaxy that everything has taken place in, all stories that we've known thus far. Okay, so give me another galactic scale war or something like that going on somewhere else, I don't think I would take a small film from him, a small conflict from him, because it's a whole new galaxy. Give me a real conflict. But I don't envy Benioff and Weiss, because I have to correct you, if Benioff and Weiss are doing Old Republic, which we all agree, like, you don't hire the guys from Game of Thrones and not do Old Republic.
Yeah.
It's not that we're not going to have recognizable characters, because you think fans are in an uproar over Last Jedi. Let them do an Old Republic without Revan. Let them do it. Watch what happens if you don't put Revan in there.
You want to talk about people being pissed at Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That's how you split a fan base.
At least Revan and Malik will show up in Benioff and Weiss Old Republic. Now, whether we get Bastille or 8K or anything of those characters, who knows? Oh my God. But Revan
if they don't,
has to be there.
At the next celebration, Benioff and Weiss, like Ryan Johnson's going to come in and be like, Benioff and Weiss, look, I did a film that was so divisive, and they're going to be like, that's cute. We did a whole trilogy of Old Republic with no Revan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People would flip shit, because it would be the same thing as Last Jedi. The hype train for Last Jedi was great up until the first group of people went to see it. And then that's when everybody started flipping shit, not my Skywalker, everything else. The hype train for the first Benioff and Weiss movie as an Old Republic movie, everybody's going to be like, finally! Oh my God, it looks great, it looks phenomenal, blah, blah, blah. And they could give us, like, the greatest, like, the holy Bible of Star Wars movies. But they don't put Revan in the opening scene of that movie, and I guarantee you, hashtag not my Star Wars is going to come around.
Not my Old Republic.
Yep.
Yep. And if they don't handle Revan right.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So if they do one film and then kill him off, holy shit, can you imagine?
And also, who's to say that Ryan Johnson won't have reoccurring characters? At this point in time, we still don't know where Ezra and Thrawn are.
Yeah.
That's true. That is very true. Well, let's just segue to the other piece of news, is that apparently Disney did their shareholders meeting, and although no footage has actually leaked, there has been some descriptions of some opening scenes and some scenes of what they saw for episode 9, and the one that caught me the most was the description of the opening scene, which was it takes place in a hangar, and there is a blockade runner in a hangar. And the first thing I thought of was the opening scene to A New Hope.
The Tantive 4?
Yeah. The Tantive 4, which was a blockade runner, which was being chased by a Star Destroyer and was brought into the hangar and was boarded by the Imperial forces.
No, you're thinking the scene that they're describing it's the Tantive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, if the opening scene of episode 9 is a First Order Star Destroyer chasing down a rebel blockade runner, the Tantive 4, my little nerd brain is just going to explode. Well, if they bring it full circle like that.
Well,
mine almost exploded at the beginning of Last Jedi when you just hear the music after the crawl, and then it pans down and you hear that. And you're like, oh my God. Like, just that alone. But if you throw that blockade runner in on top of it, yeah, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it makes sense because the Tantive was Bail Organa's personal ship. So it's an Organa family heirloom, for lack of a better term.
And we know it's survived. It's in Resistance,
right? So it made it through the downfall of the Republic. We know that it made it through Rogue One and Escape with the Plants. We know it made it through A New Hope. It got captured, but it wasn't destroyed.
Yeah.
So who's to say that Leia doesn't still own that ship?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be an interesting, if that's where, like, the scene where you find out that Leia is gone. Like, they're taking Leia's body. You know.
Oh my God! Like the Tantive is her coffin.
Well,
no,
it's
like her escort home.
And her escort, back to, wherever. Maybe she, I was just thinking, maybe she finds out that her birth mother was from Naboo, so she's returning to Naboo.
See, honestly, I would almost see if they do a funeral for Leia. I almost see them going back to where Alderaan was, and releasing her ashes where Alderaan was.
Oh,
that's almost what I see happening with Leia.
Which kind of goes back to my question: do you think the Tantive will be her coffin, where they're going to set her derelict?
No, I don't think they do that.
No,
I don't see him doing that.
Last piece of Alderaan with the last daughter of Alderaan.
Well, there are other Alderaanians out there, though.
Yeah, but no one as high profile as Leia.
Right. Yeah. Right.
The other thing they said was that we get our they got their first look at Billy D. Williams returning as Lando.
To teach Glover how it's done.
That's right. And just some random scenes. It almost looks like they just showed a few random scenes, almost like a precursor to what could be the trailer when we finally get a trailer. Some behind the scenes of Leia doing some backflips and running around with her lightsaber, and just some random scenes, some new characters, and that's pretty much it.
Did you say Leia doing backflips with a lightsaber?
Yes, I meant Rey.
Rey, okay. I was about to say I missed that part, and I was about you were about to. Never mind. I was about to make a mess.
He's about to make another kid. That's what he was about to do.
Babe, come here. I want that twin.
Oh, Jesus.
Not too late.
I'm about to increase your midichlorian count.
I'm not sure that's how that works, Brian.
That's exactly how it works, John.
Oh, my God. No, I think all that's cool, but I think right now the biggest thing I'm most excited for out of all the news is the return of Billy D. Williams. Like, give me him sitting at the executive desk of Cloud City with a big award-winning Billy D. Williams smile on his face, with a deck of Sabacc cards in one hand and a Colt 45 in the other. Give me Lando fucking Calrissian.
He doesn't have Cloud City anymore.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Dude,
he doesn't have Cloud City anymore.
I'm reading, unless I haven't gotten that far into Last Shot yet. Yeah, he does.
In Bloodline, they said he doesn't have it anymore.
Okay.
So he doesn't. Yeah, it fucking sucks. Like, believe me, I wish to God he did. But
right,
yeah,
well,
he doesn't.
He's a conniving businessman. He'll have another venture somewhere. Yeah. Let him be sitting at a desk. That award-winning Billy D. Williams smile, because we know he can't move around that well, the actor, because of his age. So we don't need to have him moving around. Have him sitting at a desk as a CEO of something with a deck of Sabacc cards in one hand and a Colt 45 in the other, and just let him be Billy D. for 10 minutes on screen. And I swear to God, I will consider it money well spent.
Hey, doesn't matter if he's got Cloud City or not, he is still the coolest man in the galaxy.
That's it.
Cooler than the other side of the
Glover guy.
Yeah, not that other guy.
Yeah.
Why is Childish Gambino wearing a fucking Lando cape? What the fuck?
Although I did think it was funny in Solo, like when they were in his closet. So that's a lot of capes.
That cape she was wearing, though, the one she was trying on, is the one from Empire.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
that's the one he was wearing. Yeah.
But he had an unhealthy collection of capes.
Yes. Yeah.
So it would almost be a sin if you don't have Billy D. wearing a cape.
That's right. Yes.
Just for continuity purposes, Lando's got to have a cape.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're kind of taking over your show.
It's quite all right. All right. Well, that wraps up the news. So let's get right into our main topic for today. Continuing our look at the women of Star Wars, today we are going to look at Ahsoka Tano. From her first debut in the 2008 animated movie Star Wars The Clone Wars to her final appearance in the series finale of Rebels, Ahsoka has gone from being one of the most divisive characters, probably one of the most hated characters outside of Jar Jar, to probably one of the most beloved that is not in the original series top 3. I'd say she's probably top 5, at least top 10 of most popular characters right now. And she's really, over the years, gone on quite a ride as far as, how she's perceived by the fandom. So let's just jump right into it and start out by talking about, as usual, kind of the initial thoughts of Ahsoka.
Brian.
Oh my God. Okay, so initial thoughts. This might get brutal, so buckle up. When I found out that they were going to be doing an animated Clone Wars series, I about lost my effing mind. I was excited, especially when they said that they were going to be showing the first couple episodes in theaters as like a film, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I get to go see Star Wars in theaters again. And that was the first Star Wars movie I went and saw in theaters, and like halfway through it, I was looking at my watch going, when is this over? I've got shit to do.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of it had to do
Wait. Not to interrupt you, but so yeah. I'm clear. Are you talking about the actual first season episodes, or are you talking about the feature film?
The film.
Okay.
The film was actually the first. It was just a combination of some episodes.
Yeah.
That they put together to make a film.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka had a lot to do with that. And, when she first popped up, and when she first walks off the cruiser, you're just like, okay, cool. There's Obi-Wan's new Padawan, whatever. And then she starts calling Anakin Sky Guy. And as soon as Sky Guy left her fucking mouth, I was done. Like that was DOA. Yeah. It was dead on arrival, dude. Like I hated her so much because I was like, you can't give Anakin an apprentice because that's not in the movies, because I was like fucking like 16 at the time, right? And I was pissed off because you can't give Darth Vader an apprentice before he was Darth Vader because that's never mentioned anywhere else. And I was pissed off at it. And I didn't even watch Clone Wars for a very long time because of that. Mm. And it wasn't until after I started the canon library that I went back and watched it again, and I hated Ahsoka. I hated her. She was down there on the bottom with Jar Jar. Like really? It was that bad. I couldn't stand her. Those are just my initial thoughts. I could not stand her. I thought she was unnecessary. I thought it was just oh God, the dialogue was cringy. It was just oh God. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I'm right there with you. When I was back during I was still doing the I had to be at the midnight release of everything Star Wars. So in 2008, when they announced a animated movie, first animated movie, at that point I didn't even know they were talking about doing a TV show. I just knew animated Star Wars movie, and I thought it was weird to begin with because it was being released by Warner Brothers instead of Fox.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I was like, animated movie and Warner Brothers. This doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
But okay, it's Star Wars. I'm going to go see it. And right off the bat with Ahsoka Tano, like the animation took a long time to grow on me in that movie to begin with. And the TV show. It felt very much like you guys remember the Disney movie Hercules?
Mm-hmm.
That type of square jaw animation to me.
Yeah.
So it took a while for it to grow on me, but then here comes Ahsoka Tano. I accepted the fact that Ahsoka was Anakin's apprentice. What I didn't accept was she was the typical 90s / new millennial snarky bitch character.
Yeah.
Like Brian said, like she's disrespectful to Anakin fucking Skywalker?
Yeah.
The chosen one of the fucking Jedi Order? A Jedi Knight, no less, in an order that believes in respect, especially for respect of those above you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't buy that at all.
Yeah.
I hated her. Like when I saw that movie, which was hot garbage to begin with, she ranked with L337 to me.
Wow.
Like I would have rather spent an hour and a half watching Jar Jar's family photos than watch her on screen.
Wow.
This is Misa when I was 15 years old, sir. I was just as clumsy as back then.
But when the TV show came around and they started releasing the episodes, I still hated her. I hated how disrespectful she was. But then I started to see her grow.
Yeah.
In the character, I started to see her mature under Anakin's tutelage, and I saw a side of Anakin that you've never seen before being brought out by her. And that's really where I started falling in love with the character. Now, it's kind of funny because she was a character I absolutely despised into a character I absolutely loved. And not to jump too far ahead of the conversation, but her ending I absolutely despised. I will give an unpopular opinion. I don't think the way they ended Ahsoka's story in Clone Wars was proper. I think she should have died. I think Anakin should have felt that loss rather than just her being blamed for a murder she didn't commit, and then when she's found innocent, she just says, "I can't trust you guys anymore," and walks away.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it did kind of mirror what Anakin ended up going through in Episode 3. How it was, because trust was a big issue in Episode 3 with Anakin and the Jedi Order, and I feel like that, even in Episode 3, now that we know what happened, I feel like part of Anakin was like, maybe Ahsoka was right about this. Maybe she knew what she was talking about. You know what I mean? Like, she went down this path, and maybe I understand more now why she walked away. And it made it a little easier for him to kind of turn over to the dark side because of her.
Well, if you go with that route, then you take a look at Rebels when they face each other, and Ahsoka figures out that Anakin is Vader, and they're having that epic battle,
which was glorious, by the way.
Which was glorious, but I think the sight of Ahsoka would have told, and seeing that Ahsoka is still fighting against the Galactic Empire and against the evil oppression and everything else. If that was really his mindset when he turned to the dark side, he would look at that and say, "I fucked up." He didn't say that. Yeah.
But he couldn't, though, because we get to nobody could save Vader except Luke.
Yeah.
Like, Rey couldn't. Not Rey. Sorry, I'm stuck on Rey right now. Ahsoka couldn't turn Anakin. She could get really, really close. Maybe it's like, like I said, I think on an earlier podcast, because, if Ahsoka ever met Luke and Luke's like, I turned, Vader back to the light side, and Ahsoka would be like, I loosened it for you, know? like that's
she found the chink in the armor.
Yeah, and then Luke exploited it.
Well, you know what? Yeah. In that epic battle, I just thought of this, and it really should have been there. Dave Filoni, if you're listening, you fucked up. If you're not going to turn Anakin, can you imagine one line being so powerful? As they're locked up and his mask is half destroyed, and you're seeing Anakin's eye behind the mask and all that, right? If she turned around and said, it's not too late for you, I could save you, and if he turned around and just said, I'm sorry, Snips.
And use the S word.
I'm sorry, Snips. If you would have popped that one line, oh my God, how tragic would that have been?
Especially the actual, the way he used to say it too. I'm sorry, Snips. I could see that.
Okay, I just got a shiver. So.
Was I that good? God, I think I was that good.
Oh wow. But yeah, I mean, you've all kind of hit the nail on how the character grew, and I think for me that's one of the advantages of her being a TV character is you, instead of just having 2 hours for a character to get from point A to point B, you had, what was it, 5 seasons?
6.
6.
6
if you count the Lost missions, yeah.
Yeah.
7 is the one that's coming.
Right.
Yeah, and then the new one. But you've had, 6 seasons plus Rebels to really get the character. And what I like is that even though the character matured, she was still the same Ahsoka. you still had the same guts
Same
of
underlying
character that you had from the movie, but they just matured her and brought her, like, it wasn't a completely different character, especially when you got to Rebels. It still wasn't a completely different character. Like, you could hear her talk, you could hear her tone, and it's like, that's Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But she had gotten older. She had matured. She had learned. She had, like I said, she was a young woman now.
She had seen some shit. Let's be honest. She was raised in the middle of a galactic war.
Yeah.
She's seen some shit. That'll mature anybody.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You know, and that's, you know, it goes back to, you know, her making Anakin grow too. Because after you watch Clone Wars, you watch Episode 3 in a different light.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Seeing what Anakin went through and whatnot. You know what I mean? And I think that was pivotal to the character of Anakin and what made him end up turning in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and you can also get why, like, it's never brought up that he had an apprentice, because it was probably her leaving was probably so traumatic for him that he just was like, I don't even remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't mention it, don't bring it up. And for the Order, it was probably kind of the, you know, you almost get the idea that when someone leaves the Order, they're persona non grata. In a sense, they're just kind of wiped from, like, well, you know, you're no longer part of us, so, well, we're just gonna, you know,
you're out. Yep,
you're out. Yeah.
Well, as much as it explains Anakin, like, for majority of Episode 3, I think it really explains Anakin snapping on Padme on Mustafar when she was telling him that you know, you're going down a path I can't follow. To him, it's like all of a sudden, it's like everybody I love leaves me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're leaving.
Yeah, everyone
me
I
too.
care for. Yeah.
You know. So,
well, let's talk. I mean, was it a smart idea for the Jedi Council to give Anakin a Padawan anyway?
Well, Yoda said in the film that it was a lesson for Anakin.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Yoda knew what was going to end up happening, because Anakin had this problem with attachment, and he had it from the beginning with his mother, you know, and with Qui-Gon, and even with Obi-Wan, you know what I mean, and that was part of the reason his attachment ended up being his downfall. You know, with his mother, you know, that was kind of the first time he started touching on the dark side and whatnot, but it was a lesson for Anakin, and like Yoda said, he had to learn how to let go when it was time. You know, it was.
I don't think Yoda was expecting her to walk away from the Order, but I think it was the lesson that he was hoping Anakin would learn is sooner or later
in the long
Padawan
run
will become a knight,
right?
Yes.
And will no longer be your student.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what it was from the get-go. It was a lesson in, you know, training yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. You know, so I think that's all it was, balls to bone.
Yeah. Well, we are going to take a little bit of a break here, take a little bit of a commercial break, and we will be back in just a few minutes.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which wine he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat?
I'm Will Baker.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
That's offensive. Well, someone's gotta say it. It had to be said with Venus. To the live show Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest host Willie. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content. Trigger warning. Do you dare say it?
Hi, this This is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Bustleton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are the go-to store. Come by and say hello, and say that the guys from RadioCast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Bustleton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolley. I invite you to check out War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolley discuss the news and theories surrounding one of the largest franchise movie franchises in the world. So join us every Wednesday at Eastern as we travel to the galaxy far, far away, right here on Anchor FM and wherever fine podcasts are heard.
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm here at Realm of the Mist podcast. Realm of the Podcast, we talk about all the great things from movies, music, books, comic books, and many other forms of entertainment, as well as politics, current events, and just general having a good time. If you're looking for a podcast that is right up your alley, look no further than Realm of the Mist podcast. Here, Anchor.fm, fine podcasts can be heard.
Three-eyed turtle? Is that alright?
What the fuck is a three-eyed turtle?
Who wants a mustard?
Are you tired of the same old podcasts with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm and where quality podcasts are heard.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
Fucking FCC started this shit. It's their fucking fault.
And we are back, continuing our look at Ahsoka Tano. And when we left off, we were talking about her growth and maturity through the years, and just her as Anakin's apprentice and how her leaving affected Anakin so much. So what are some of your favorite, like looking back, what are some of your favorite Ahsoka moments?
For me, actually, you know, and keep in mind, as somebody who keeps up on all the canon stuff, E.K. Johnston wrote a novel called Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. And it followed her after what season 7 is going to be in Clone Wars. This is, you know, a year after episode 3. It picks up with Ahsoka and the life she's living, and it's basically her going from place to place. She can't stay in one place for too long, and she can't help but be attached to some of these people, make friendships, and then just has to up and disappear and go somewhere else when somebody starts to catch on of who she is.
Right, she's still running from Order 66.
Right. And that aspect of her, you know, it even says in the novel at one point that she was reaching out in the Force trying to find Obi-Wan and Anakin and couldn't find them, couldn't feel them anymore. You know, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. But mainly just some of my favorite moments are actually in the novel of Ahsoka. You know, and it's basically some of the revelations where she's talking about how she's tried to reach out and find Obi-Wan and Anakin and can't find them at all, you know, and that's how she knows that the Jedi Order really is truly gone. Yeah. You know, and then some of the writing there was absolutely great, but some of those moments are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. That's definitely one I'm going to have to pick up. I have not actually read a lot of the new canon, so I'm definitely going to have to do a lot of catching up with that. So
I'm reading Queen's Shadow right now. I wish I'd have read it before you guys talked about Padme.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that today.
Yeah. For me, I always their Anakin and Ahsoka's dynamic together was very good, and I think a lot of that comes down to obviously the two voice actors, Matt Lanter and Ashley Eckstein, you could tell that they just had a good chemistry together, and that showed in, on screen. Even though it was animated, you could tell that those two had a really good chemistry together and really worked well together. And just seeing them together, their banter, and how by the end of it they did have such a close bond.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They are returning for season 7, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes, both of them are. Yes, yeah. They are reprising their roles.
Excellent.
I am interested too to see how Ahsoka coming back is going to affect Anakin in season 7.
I don't think they interact with each other. How do
they did in the trailer?
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, they did in the trailer.
It's been so long since I've seen the trailer, I completely forgot.
Yes, because that was the big holy crap moment of the trailer.
Master. It's been a while. Yeah.
Yes. That was the one where everyone at that panel went completely bonkers.
Well, I still stand by what I say though. Is like, okay, they don't interact much. You gotta limit it.
Well, it's only like how many episodes are we getting?
Was it 13?
Something 13
like 13 so
episodes.
Yeah.
But you got to limit it. It's got to be something that's like, opening the wound, reopening the wound for Anakin, but not enough to change the course of history, if you will.
So reopening that wound gets him closer to being angry in episode 3.
That's true.
True, but remember where we see Anakin in episode 3 in the beginning part of it. Where
he was in a pretty good place, yeah.
He was in a pretty good place. Him and Obi-Wan's mindsets were really strong, and of course him and Padme were as strong in love as they could possibly be because love had blinded them.
Love has blinded them, yeah.
But you can't have him go too dark in season 7 because it would contradict the beginning of episode 3.
Yeah, this is true. Well, here's an interesting question you just brought up, and I think I might have asked this before, but I'll ask it again. Did Ahsoka know about Padme?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm almost positive. Never anywhere does it explicitly say she knew, but she freaking knew. Like if you look at some of the Forces of Destiny episodes, which believe it or not are canon, and she sees Anakin and Padme together in certain scenes, and she turns around and chooses to ignore it. And even at the end of season 6, when she leaves the Order, Anakin says, "I understand more than you know about wanting to walk away from the Order," and she just turns around and says, "I know." Yeah. That is it. That is the moment that Anakin realizes she knows.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely, she totally knew about Padme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're gonna get into it, I think there's a lot of people that knew about Padme.
Mm-hmm.
I think Obi-Wan knew.
Yeah. Obi-Wan had his suspicions.
Yeah.
He didn't
and
fully
I think
know
Yoda
until
had
she
his
was
suspicions too.
Oh, Yoda knew.
Yoda knew. Yeah.
Yoda always knew.
Yeah.
Well, even look, I'm reading Queen Shadow right now, and there was a scene. Was it Queen Shadow? I think it was. No, it wasn't. It was one of the comics. Which comic was it? There's a comic that just came out. It was the Padme one shot, the Age of Republic Padme issue. That issue has Anakin in it, and they have a moment together, and one of her handmaidens walks in, and she even says, hey, they can be discreet. Don't worry about it. And all the handmaidens knew.
Yeah. I think there's no doubt. I mean, her inner circle,
right?
Of course, 3PO and R2 knew.
I think R2 did. I'm not sure 3PO did.
He did. Yeah. He didn't. He didn't after his mind was wiped. But
well,
he
that's
knew.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. But as far as Obi-Wan goes, I know it's not canon anymore. But I hope to God that they end up retconning it and making it canon. There was a scene in the novelization for Revenge of the Sith where Obi-Wan is talking to Padme, and he's telling her, and this is before Anakin even goes to the dark side. He's telling Padme that he's known all these couple years that they were a thing, and he never said anything because he knew it made Anakin happy, and he didn't want to take that away from him because he loved Anakin so much as a brother. He didn't want to do that to him. And he saw that it really wasn't hurting anything, and if anything, it was encouraging Anakin. It gave him something to actually fight for. You know,
Yeah.
so
I agree
that's
with you,
not
but they
that
can't
scene's
do
not
it.
canon anymore. But I wish to God it was.
I agree with you because it was a beautiful scene. I had read that
It
book.
was.
I love the book. That's why I'm so mad that it's
Yeah.
not canon.
Yeah.
But it would if they put that scene now, it would contradict episode 3. And you can't do that. The only thing you could do is maybe change it around a little bit. Like, I know you two have feelings for each other. And
How would it
quite
contradict 3?
if he already knows that they're together, because he doesn't have it fully confirmed until he's telling her about him turning to the dark side, and he turns around and he says, Anakin is the father, isn't he?
No, he knew. He knew,
suspected.
dude.
He suspected. He never fully knew.
Oh my God, he knew. He had to have known.
Nah, the way
he knew
delivered
that they were so close throughout all of the Clone Wars. You're trying to tell me that Obi-Wan never at any point
he obviously
realized,
suspected. He knew Anakin loved her. He knew that she loved Anakin. He knew that they.
He knew that in episode 2.
Yeah, he knew that they would never not be together in the sense of you can never separate the two.
Yeah.
But whether or not they got married and had children, no. Anakin or Obi-Wan did not know until he went searching down the ways to finding Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he had it full in his face that Anakin's the father, isn't he?
Well, but roundabout way, I'm convinced that Ahsoka knew.
Oh yeah, Ahsoka knew.
Yeah, she knew balls to bone from the get-go.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing is Ahsoka loved Anakin arguably as much as Padme did. Obviously in a different way, but when you love somebody that much, especially when it comes to, I know I'm probably going to get blasted for the differences of sexes, but especially when you're female, when you love somebody that much, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know everything. Guys can be oblivious. Girls,
Yeah, it'd hit a guy all of a sudden just out of nowhere after the girl's gone. It'll be like, oh, it's for guys. It's really weird. But I think Anakin. I don't think Anakin realized how close him and Snips were. I just called her Snips. I don't think he realized how close they were until after she was gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, would you consider you see the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan as being very much a brotherly relationship. Mm-hmm. And you kind of see that the same with Ahsoka and Anakin, where at the end she kind of saw him as a big brother, or was it more of the traditional "you are my master, I respect you as my master," or was it how do you see that relationship?
Look, before the Clone Wars started, with Master and Padawan, I feel like that it was a mentor-apprentice kind of relationship, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
And then once the Clone Wars started, all these masters that had apprentices, they were going into war together. They were going into battles together. They were, you know what I mean? They had each other's backs on a more personal kind of level, and as somebody who's, been to war, I can tell you, you form bonds with the guys around you, to the point where they're your brothers. Yeah. And it came to a point where the masters almost had to befriend their apprentices instead of just being the mentor role, to kind of get through everything. So I think with Ahsoka and Anakin, I think because that they met during war and then they parted ways during war, I think those two had a seriously strong bond of watching each other's backs, especially after that film ended. Because in the was it during the film? Or was it? I think it was during the film when they started playing back and forth about race you to the top, master, and they're trying to get up the cliffside together. It kind of became this playful back and forth friendship kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I would go so much further because you look at somebody like Shakti and Barasso Fee, or Luminari and Barasso Fee. And the tragedy of Barras turning to the dark side and stuff of that nature, that was like sisterhood and brotherhood. I would almost argue that Anakin and Ahsoka Anakin was almost a father figure to her. I think it even went beyond fatherhood or brotherhood. I think she really looked at him as the man in his life or in her life. Yeah. And in turn, I think the way Anakin treated Ahsoka would have shown what Anakin would have done for Luke and Leia had he not turned to the dark side.
which is a conversation I'd love to see between Ahsoka and Luke.
Yeah.
Because if she had that kind of relationship with Anakin, the kind of father-daughter thing, and Luke never got that relationship with him, those two having that conversation together, talking about Anakin and, talking about how he was redeemed at the end and all this stuff, that is a conversation that I have to see somewhere in a novel or, I don't necessarily want it in a comic, but I think in a novel it'd be perfect.
I just had this thought of, at the end of, them, meeting and Luke calling her Aunt Ahsoka.
Aunt Ahsoka.
Well, I don't know why that just popped in my head, like that kind of like, okay, you were, my grandfather's, Padawan, so in a roundabout way, you're almost like my aunt.
Talking about Kylo?
No, Luke.
They would almost be brother and sister then.
Yeah, they would be. But I could still see the aunt thing because Ahsoka's not actually related to the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even though she looks like Anakin was a father figure to Ahsoka, the closeness would be like, you and I are not brothers, but my children would call you Uncle Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Type scenario. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and you kind of mentioned this, that you get to see with Ahsoka and Anakin is, like when we were first introduced to the Padawan master relationship is in episode 1 with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and at that point we get it near the end. Obi-Wan is making the steps to become a knight, to break away, and again in episode 2 we kind of get at the same point, kind of in the middle, and then by episode 3 obviously Anakin's already moved on. He's no longer Padawan. He's now a full-on knight. And with Clone Wars, you get it from the very beginning. You get, Ahsoka becoming a Padawan, and then kind of all the way through, you kind of see that journey of, how that relationship builds and kind of like that. So I thought that was really interesting to see that dynamic from the very beginning.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the overall of, if we're talking about the character of Ahsoka Tano, if there's a takeaway that I ever take from the character, particularly within Clone Wars, because obviously she travels beyond Clone Wars. She travels beyond Rebels. We don't know how far her character goes. You know what I mean? She's by now, she could still be out there. In current storyline, she could still be alive and out there somewhere. As it stands. But speaking from the Clone Wars, like if I took away anything of her character, it's the tragedy of loving too much. Or being too loyal.
Yeah.
Because she was always loyal to Anakin to a fault. Pretty much the same as Ahsoka. Like everybody loved this chud. Everybody loved this chud, and he screwed everybody over. Obi-Wan loved Anakin. Padme loved Anakin. Ahsoka loved Anakin. Look what he did to all three of them.
Yeah.
But Ahsoka, I think the Ahsoka is the epitome of trying to hold on to that innocence in an ugliness. And she really is a tragedy in the sense of like everything that she has had to face and lose because of the selfishness of others. But yet still persevered. Because you think about it, she was broken from the Jedi Order. She was broken from them not believing in her anymore. That was her world. And then having to leave Anakin. That was her world. But yet she still found it in herself to become Fulcrum. She still found it in herself to fight the good fight, no matter how, torn down and broken she is. You know what I mean? So, if anything, she shows that you can always persevere.
And the fact that, she knew by the time you get to Rebels, and we'll start touching on Rebels now, she knew, like, for me, that the line that really epitomized Ahsoka for me in Rebels was the line when she's fighting Vader and Vader makes the line of that revenge is not the Jedi way, and she says, "I'm no Jedi."
Yeah.
I mean, that was her, like, at that point, she was no Jedi.
That was a bone-chilling line, too.
Oh. And when she ignites those 2 white lightsabers.
Oh.
I was like,
oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
No, I need to get you guys towels.
Yeah, probably. Look, I said earlier how much I hated the character Ahsoka at the beginning, and she grew into a character that I absolutely adore. You know, and I've said it several times. I named one of my cats after Ahsoka. You know, and it's a character that I was really pleasantly surprised to see pop up in Rebels. I wasn't sure how that was going to go, and then when we built up to that season finale of season 2, whenever it went down, I remember that night watching that episode and just like jaw dropped. I was on the verge of tears. Especially whenever you hear Vader kind of that Ahsoka, and she, the look on her face when her eyes go wide and she realizes it really was Anakin.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that was absolutely beautifully done.
What I loved about that was how they did with the voice acting, how they combined Matt Lanter, the original voice of Anakin in Clone Wars, with James Earl Jones over the top and layered those together. It's just like, ooh, that was just chilling. It was absolutely. And then even when she says, "I won't leave you this time," and he stands there and thinks about it for a second.
That's where I would have put the line.
And then gives that line, "Then you will die."
Yeah.
See, that's where I would have snuck that line in I talked about earlier. Right at that moment, like, "I won't leave you," and him going, "I'm sorry, Snips."
Yeah.
Or "It's too late for me, Snips."
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That would have sealed the deal for me. Like, as powerful as that scene was, and I don't want to take away from that scene, but to really put that personal touch into that, I hated the nickname Snips, but it was the nickname he had for her. If he would have popped that out and really connected, this is Anakin in the suit to her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus,
plus
for Anakin himself to have that moment of regret. He may not have turned, but just to have that moment of regret would have been something powerful.
Yeah. I think what's going to be powerful is if, like you said, if there's a moment with Luke and Ahsoka where Ahsoka finds out that Vader turned back, that Anakin returned.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a very powerful moment for I think for that character to find that out, that that her master was still in there somewhere. And that he returned, even if just for a brief moment.
That'd be something.
Yeah. I want to see that in a novel so bad.
Yes,
I really, really do. Like, I mean, I'll take it in any form other than comic. That deserves more than a comic. But you give it to me in a novel written by Claudia Gray. Oh man, oh my God! You want to talk about bone chilling? She could write that so beautifully. It's just. Oh my God!
Well, it does,
I'd kill.
It does raise a question, though. Does Ahsoka even know about Luke and Leia?
She has to. I mean, and even at the end of Rebels, I'm honestly surprised at the end of Rebels when Ahsoka's standing there with the robe on and she's got the staff. I'm honestly shocked Luke didn't walk up next to her and put his hand on her shoulder. And like, had he done that, I would have completely just mangasmed everywhere. And but I think. With them being the only 2 Force users in the galaxy at that point that we know of, they've got to cross paths at some point. If Ahsoka was there after the Battle of Endor and she knew about everything that went down in the Battle of Endor, she had to have come across Luke at some point. She had to have. Luke had to have known about Ahsoka.
Yeah. No, I'm meaning before the ending of Rebels that takes place after the Battle of Endor. I'm meaning, like, while Obi-Wan was overlooking Luke until Luke became part of the Rebel Alliance and blowing up the Death Star, somewhere in that line, do you think Ahsoka ever knew that
No.
Padme had given birth.
No, I don't think so. Because she tried reaching out for Obi-Wan and Anakin and couldn't feel either of them either. You know, and even though Obi-Wan was still alive, she never knew Obi-Wan was still alive. Until, you know, she come back after, you know, what happened after the weird kind of returning to the season 2 finale. We see how it actually happened then. After she came back to find Ezra and, you know, he was gone. I think at that point when he found out, or when she found out that Obi-Wan was still alive at one point.
Right, but now the question is, how does she find out that Luke and later on Leia is Anakin's offspring?
If she met Luke, they talked about it. If she met Luke after the Battle of Endor, then, you know, if they're sitting there talking about, you know, Luke could be like, who was your master? Well, my master was Anakin Skywalker. Oh, that was my father. Oh, you're kidding me. Like, you know, like that would be.
Hey, I knew a Jedi Knight named Skywalker.
Yeah, he was my master. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, that's exactly how much I see that conversation going.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, wait a minute, your name's Skywalker? Wait a minute.
I've got a holocron I got to show you. Hang on a second. I got it around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, I got an idea. Let's go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
We'll talk about it over a cup of blue milk.
I had to give the stuff up. It's green for me now.
Oh, you pansy.
Gotta watch the old Jedi
That's like
Wasteland.
non-alcoholic beer. Who the hell came up with that?
I don't know.
Oh.
Still my all-time favorite. Still my all-time favorite meme though is showing the George Clooney Batman with the bat nipples, and Last Jedi Luke comes up and milks him.
Ew. I could have went the rest of my life knowing that didn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful that it does.
Yes.
Oh God.
Well, on that wonderful note, we are going to wrap things up here tonight. And remember, if you liked this show, remember to like and subscribe to Realm of the Mist. Check us out on all our platforms, especially on Anchor FM. Also, remember to support us. We could definitely use the money as we're trying to grow this to be as big as it possibly can be. That did not sound good, but anyway.
Keep stroking it. Keep stroking it.
Remember to, if you're listening to us on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. And just, you can check me out at John Mark Tolley 1 on Twitter, because I am, of course, the #1 John Mark Tolley on Twitter. And on Facebook at Mark Tolley, and on Instagram at Mark Tolley also. Brian, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You guys can find me on pornhub.com/Star Wars Canon Library. No, I'm just kidding. You guys can find me on YouTube at the Star Wars Canon Podcast. And pretty much any of the shows right here on Realm of the Mist.
Chris.
I'm sorry. I'm looking up Star Wars Canon Library on YouPorn right now. You can find me anywhere there's Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Right here for a Realm of the Mist podcast, War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. And, of course, tomorrow night for It Had to Be Said with Venus, as we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff that's probably going to make a sailor blush. Also, you can check out all the great Let's Plays from Press A Gaming. Show some support on Anchor.fm as well as our Patreon page. I promise I'll make it worth your while, as that is where we will start releasing our after-hour show, our complete comedy show where we talk about Three-Eyed Turtles.
That's right.
Fucking FCC.
Fucking FCC.
Yes.
They started it.
You can join us next week right here as we will continue our look at the Women of Star Wars with Hera.
Ooh.
Oh, I imagine you're going to be on next week, huh, Bri?
I have a dog named Hera. What do you think?
Yeah. You got plenty to say on that one.
All right. Until next time, may the Force be with you.
Always.